Ethan Cole had never thought his life would end like this, trapped, alone, and completely out of his element. His small starship had drifted too far into the territory of the Valari Empire, a powerful alien civilization known across the galaxy for its strict laws and harsh punishments. Humans were rare in Valari space, and most were considered insignificant. Ethan, however, had the misfortune of being captured. The Valari officers were tall and elegant, their bodies covered in shimmering scales that reflected light like a rainbow. Their eyes glowed faintly in dim light, and their movements were precise, almost mechanical. Ethan's heart raced as they brought him through cold, polished corridors toward the throne room of their most famous leader, Princess Kaelira. He had heard stories about her. The Princess of Valari was said to be brilliant and cruel, a perfect combination of beauty and authority. Many humans who had encountered her were never seen again. Ethan had no illusions. He was nothing to them, a small life easily extinguished. The throne room was enormous, taller than any building on Earth. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing softly in a pattern that pulsed like a heartbeat. At the center of the room sat Kaelira on a tall throne of crystal and silver. Even from a distance, her presence was magnetic. Her long silver hair shimmered with hints of violet under the light, and her eyes, bright and calculating, fixed on Ethan like a predator measuring its prey. For a long moment, no one spoke. Ethan felt every second stretch painfully. He realized he was trembling slightly, and he hated himself for it. Pride was one thing, but fear was another, and he could not control this feeling. Finally, Kaelira's voice cut through the silence. "Human," she said. It was not a question. It was a command that echoed softly in the vast room. "Come forward." Ethan hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to stay back. Yet the entire court waited, watching his reaction. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. Kaelira's gaze swept over him, curious and unblinking. "Do you understand Valari customs?" she asked. Her tone was calm but commanding, like a river flowing over rocks, gentle yet impossible to resist. I try," Ethan replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "I'm not used to them." A small, amused smile curved on her lips. "You are human. You will never be like us. That is acceptable." She leaned forward slightly, her posture elegant and confident. "But you are here. You are alive. That means something." Ethan's heart thumped loudly. Something about her words made the air around him feel electric, though he could not understand why. Then, completely unexpectedly, she said, "Touch me, human." The words hung in the air. The court fell silent. Some Valari gasped softly. To touch a royal without permission was forbidden, punishable by death. Yet she did not hesitate, did not stammer. She simply demanded it. Ethan froze. He looked around, unsure if he had heard correctly. Did she really mean it? Could it be some kind of test or a trap? His mind raced, but he saw something in her eyes, an intensity, a challenge, a raw curiosity he had never encountered before. I don't, he started, but she interrupted. "Do it. Now." Her voice left no room for argument. Swallowing hard, Ethan stepped closer. He lifted his hand slowly and, with a careful movement, placed it lightly on her arm. It was a brief contact, just a moment, but something strange happened. A warmth surged through him, and for the first time he felt a connection he could not explain. Kaelira's eyes softened, not in a way that was romantic, but in a way that recognized something deep inside him. The court gasped. Some whispered, urgently among themselves. The Valari had never seen their princess act this way, and yet none dared to challenge her. She remained perfectly still, her eyes locked on Ethan. "What is your name, human?" she asked. "Ethan. Ethan Cole," he said, his voice steadier now, though his hands still trembled slightly. Kaelira nodded as if tasting the name. "Ethan Cole. You are unusual. I'm just a human, Ethan said, trying to sound modest. Perhaps, Kalira said softly. But humans, they surprise me. They touch the world differently. You touch me differently. Ethan did not understand. He had never heard an alien speak like this before. In Valari culture, touch was a sacred and highly regulated act, reserved only for specific rituals or people of royal blood. Yet the princess had asked him, and something in her tone suggested that it was no ritual. Why? Why me? He asked, genuinely curious. Kalira tilted her head slightly. Because you are human, she said simply, and because I demand to see if you are more than your people claim. If you are capable of change. The words puzzled him. Humans were always told that aliens like the Valari saw them as weak, simple, and unimportant. Yet here was Kalira, a ruler of a powerful empire, speaking to him with respect and expectation. Ethan felt a flicker of something he had not felt in a long time. Purpose. Why me? He whispered again, almost to himself. Kalira smiled faintly. Because you have something I need, human, and I intend to find out what it is. At that moment, a Valari officer stepped forward. Your Highness, the Council will not approve of this. It is forbidden. Kalira raised a hand, silencing him instantly. Do not speak. This is my decision. Ethan glanced around. The court was tense, some members whispering nervously. Yet he realized something remarkable. The princess had absolute control. She could defy tradition, and no one dared stop her. For the first time since his capture, Ethan felt a small spark of hope. Perhaps he was not simply a prisoner, a human without value. Perhaps, in this strange and powerful empire, he had a chance to matter. Kalira studied him for a long moment, her gaze piercing, searching for something deeper. Stay, she commanded. You will remain here. You will not speak unless spoken to. But do not think of yourself as powerless. You are interesting. Ethan swallowed hard, unsure if he was relieved or terrified. He had entered the Yai throne room as a prisoner, alone and afraid. Now he had become something else. Someone noticed, someone curious, someone significant. As he was led to a waiting chamber, he could not shake the feeling that his life had changed forever. Kalira had demanded contact, and in that single act, she had shifted the balance of power not just in the court but in his mind. For the first time, he wondered if humans could truly make a difference, even in a galaxy dominated by aliens like the Valari. The door closed behind him, and Ethan sat quietly, thinking. Outside, the sounds of the palace continued, the hum of alien voices, the steps of guards, the soft glow of the Valari light. But inside, Ethan felt something stronger, a spark of connection, a spark of curiosity, and the strange, undeniable feeling that he had become part of something far bigger than himself. And somewhere deep in his mind he knew this was only the beginning. Ethan Cole woke to the soft hum of the Valari palace. The room he had been placed in was sleek and silent, walls glowing faintly with a soft blue light. He had expected cold chains or harsh guards, but instead there was nothing. Just a small cot, a water dispenser, and a strange sense of anticipation that hung in the air. The events of the previous day replayed in his mind. The princess, Kalira, demanding he touch her. The warmth, the strange electricity of that moment, it stayed with him. He did not know why. Humans were supposed to feel fear, or anger, or confusion. But he felt something else, something unfamiliar. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. A Valari attendant entered. Your Highness requests your presence, she said respectfully. Ethan blinked. He had not been ordered anywhere before except into captivity, and now the princess wanted to see him again. He followed quietly through the palace halls. The corridors were taller than any human building. walls gleaming like polished glass. Lights shifted as they moved, reflecting off the crystalline surfaces. Guards flanked the hallway, their eyes faintly glowing, their attention unwavering. Still, Ethan felt no threat. Here, the rules were different. The throne room was as imposing as he remembered, but this time, Lyra was standing, moving among the court with grace. Her silver hair flowed behind her, catching the light. She looked up as Ethan entered. "You came willingly," she said, her violet-tinged eyes studying him. "Good. That shows character." Ethan hesitated. I didn't really have a choice," he admitted. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "Perhaps not. But you came. That matters more than you think." She gestured for him to stand closer. "Look at them," she said, waving her hand slightly toward the council and nobles. "They think humans are weak, easily controlled. But you have potential. I can see it." Ethan felt the weight of her gaze. He had always thought humans were fragile like the thin hull of his small starship. Yet here, someone was telling him otherwise. Lyra stepped forward. "You are curious, yes?" she asked. "Do you want to know why I demanded your touch?" Ethan nodded cautiously. "Yes, I want to understand." She smiled softly. "My people, we do not touch. We speak, we think, we bond telepathically. But physical contact, real, human contact, is unknown to us. We have no idea what it feels like. Until now." Ethan swallowed. "You mean my touch?" "Yes," she said simply. "When you touched me, it awakened something I had not felt in centuries. Emotion, curiosity, warmth, a spark of life." Her eyes glimmered. "I do not know what it means, but I want to explore it, and I want you to help me." Ethan's mind raced. He had come here as a prisoner. Now the princess was asking him to teach her, to show her something humans felt naturally. His humanity, once considered insignificant, was suddenly a tool, a gift, something powerful. I don't know if I can," he said honestly. "I'm just me." Lyra shook her head gently. "No. You are more than that. Your people are unpredictable, adaptable, strong in ways my people cannot be. You see the world differently, and that is exactly why I want you here." The court murmured in confusion. The nobles shifted uneasily. To them, this was scandalous. The heir to the Valari throne speaking so openly to a human? It was unheard of. Yet none dared speak against Lyra. Her authority was absolute. Over the next days, Lyra spent hours with Ethan. She asked questions about humans, about life on Earth, about emotions, and about struggles that humans endured. Ethan explained simply, carefully, avoiding anything that might offend her, but he could feel her fascination grow with every word. "You humans fight, struggle, and yet you survive," she said one day, pacing slowly. "You are fragile, yet strong. You are remarkable." Ethan shrugged. "We just do what we have to. That's how we survive." She laughed softly. "No, it is more than that. You face uncertainty with hope. Your courage, your stubbornness. It is strange, but beautiful. I feel it when I am near you. I have felt nothing like it before." Ethan paused. He had never imagined an alien princess speaking like this to a human before. It was flattering, but also intimidating. He wanted to ask more questions, but Lyra raised a hand. "Do not speak," she said with a quiet command. "Just be. Here. Let me observe. Let me feel." Over time, Ethan noticed changes in her. She would pause in court, her violet eyes distant, as if remembering something only he could ignite. When he touched her, always briefly, always careful, he felt the warmth intensify. The energy between them was subtle, not dangerous, but undeniable. The court whispered about the unusual bond forming between human and princess, and some nobles grew angry, others curious. Ethan began to understand something profound. Kalira was not only defying tradition, she was testing it, challenging the very rules that defined her people. She believed humans held a key her civilization had lost, a key to feeling, to creativity, to passion. And somehow she had chosen him as the teacher. One evening, as the twin moons of the Volari system rose high above the palace, Kalira approached Ethan privately. "Do you know why humans survive where others fail?" she asked softly. I guess we try harder," Ethan said, unsure. "No," she said gently. "Because you feel, you adapt, you care, even when it is inconvenient. You make mistakes, yet you continue. You are alive, truly alive, in a way my people have forgotten." Ethan was struck by her words. He had always believed humans were ordinary, weak, insignificant compared to powerful alien civilizations. Yet here, the most powerful princess in the Volari Empire was telling him otherwise. "Ethan," she whispered, her hand brushing briefly against his shoulder, "I want you to stay. Teach me what it means to be human. Teach me how to feel." And for the first time, Ethan realized something extraordinary. He was not a prisoner here. He was a bridge between humans and aliens, between cold tradition and living passion, between fear and hope. As he left the room that night, he could not stop thinking about the spark between them. Kalira had demanded his touch, and in doing so, she had opened a door not just for him but for the possibility of something greater, something that could change the Volari Empire forever. Ethan did not know what the future held. The palace could still turn against him. The nobles could rise in anger, and danger could strike at any moment. But he felt alive. He felt human. And, for the first time in his life, he believed that humanity, his humanity, could make a difference. The palace was tense that morning. Word of Princess Kalira's unusual behavior had spread through the Volari court like wildfire. Every corridor whispered rumors of the human she had brought into the throne room, the way she had demanded his touch and the bond forming between them. For many nobles it was unacceptable. For some it was dangerous. Ethan Cole felt the weight of every glance. Guards and advisors moved past him silently, their eyes flicking toward the princess. Some looked at him with suspicion, others with curiosity, but all knew that Kalira had broken rules older than the Volari Empire itself. He had learned quickly that in this civilization, the smallest gesture could carry enormous meaning. A hand extended, a word spoken, or a step forward could be interpreted as rebellion. He was not sure he understood it all, but one thing was clear. Kalira would not back down. The morning session of the court began with a discussion of border conflicts and trade disputes. Kalira presided with calm authority, but her attention often drifted to Ethan, who stood quietly to the side. The council had sent their most loyal members to observe him, waiting for any sign of weakness or incompetence. Finally, one of the senior nobles spoke up, his voice heavy with disapproval. "Your Highness," he said, bowing slightly, "this human presence is a threat to tradition. He is of no consequence to the Empire. Allowing him in the court, granting him access and—" Kalira raised a hand, silencing him instantly. Her eyes flashed with steel. "He is not of no consequence, and your arguments are tired. I will not be told what I may or may not do in my own court." A hush fell over the assembly. Some gasped audibly. To openly defy the council was dangerous, potentially treasonous. But Kalira's calm confidence held the room in place. The senior noble's voice dropped to a tense whisper. "Your Highness, this is unprecedented. Allowing a human into the court, even touching you, is a direct challenge to our customs. The council demands—" Kalira leaned forward slightly, her eyes locking onto his. "The council demands many things, but I am the heir. My decisions are final. Ethan Cole is under my protection. No one will harm him, and no one will question my judgment in this matter again." Ethan's stomach knotted. He had never expected such protection, nor such attention. Yet he could feel the tension building like a storm. The nobles whispered among themselves, clearly torn between fear of Kalira and loyalty to tradition. After the council meeting ended, Kalira spoke to Ethan privately. "They will not stop," she said, pacing slowly. "They will plot. Some will want you gone. Others may seek to discredit me, but I will not let them. You are important." "Important?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just a human." "You underestimate yourself," Kalira said firmly. "Humans have something my people lack: courage, adaptability. You are not like them, and that is why I need you. I do not know exactly what the consequences will be, but I will not abandon this us." The word us struck Ethan strangely. It was not romantic, not in the way humans often spoke of love. It was a declaration of unity, of partnership in defiance of the old ways. The idea was thrilling and terrifying all at once. Over the next few days, tensions escalated. The council sent envoys to speak privately with nobles and advisors, reminding them of Valari law and the dangers of defying tradition. Some threatened open revolt. Others plotted to expose Ethan's weaknesses, hoping the princess would be forced to act against him. Ethan was not naive. He knew that if Kalira faltered, he would be the first to suffer. But he also understood something profound. She was not afraid to challenge the system, and for the first time, he realized that humans, his resourcefulness, his instincts, and even his unpredictability, were his greatest strengths in a society that prized rigid perfection. One evening, Kalira approached him in the private garden of the palace. The twin moons of the Valari system hung low in the sky, casting silver light over strange alien flora. Ethan watched as she walked among the glowing plants, her expression thoughtful. "They do not understand," she said softly. "They see the human is weak, unworthy, insignificant, but they are blind. They cannot see what you bring, what we bring. Together." Ethan took a deep breath. I don't know if I can help," he admitted. I'm not trained for this. I'm just me." Kalira smiled gently. "You are enough. You have already shown me more than my people have in centuries. Your presence, your perspective, your courage, they are gifts. And gifts change the world." The word struck Ethan like a thunderbolt. In his life, he had never felt so valued. Never before had someone looked at him and seen him not as a prisoner, not as weak, but as essential. He felt a strange surge of confidence, something human, something instinctive. He would not fail her. He could not. The next morning, the council demanded an audience. Kalira stood, her figure radiant and commanding, and invited Ethan to join, her at her side. The nobles bristled at the sight. Here was a human standing alongside the heir of the Valari Empire, calm and composed. Some muttered in disbelief. Others stared silently, unsure of how to respond. A senior noble stepped forward, voice trembling slightly. "Your Highness, the council demands that the human be removed. He is a threat to our customs. Allowing him access to the court. It cannot continue." Kalira's eyes glimmered with quiet fire. "He is under my protection. I will not remove him. If you wish to challenge this, you must challenge me, and I am not so easily defeated." The court fell silent. Ethan realized something remarkable. The princess was prepared to risk everything to protect him. She believed in him, even when her own people doubted. That night, as the palace settled into quiet, Ethan stood by a balcony overlooking the city. He reflected on the events of the past days. The human in him felt fear. Yes, but also a growing sense of purpose. He was not just a prisoner. He was a catalyst, a spark in an empire that had forgotten how to feel. Kalira joined him, standing silently beside him. The alien princess, heir to a vast empire, looked out at the glowing city. "Do you understand now?" she asked. "They cannot stop what we have begun. They may resist, but change is inevitable. Humanity, your humanity, it is stronger. Then tradition. Ethan nodded slowly. He did understand. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and prejudice, and yet he remained. Because Kalira had demanded it, and because he had chosen to rise to the challenge. The next days would bring trials, tests, and danger he could not yet imagine. But for now, he allowed himself a small, rare moment of hope. Together, human and princess, they were already beginning to change the course of an empire. The Valari Empire was ancient, powerful, and rigid, but even the oldest systems could not withstand the spark of something new. And in that moment, Ethan knew that spark was him, and that Kalira's courage would ignite it further. The Empire might strike back. It might try to crush them. But the bond between human and princess was already stronger than fear. And for the first time in centuries, Valari tradition faced a force it could not ignore. Change born from the courage of a human heart. Days passed in the Valari palace, and Ethan Cole began to adjust to life under the watchful gaze of Princess Kalira. He had expected captivity to mean fear, confinement, and isolation. Instead, he found himself in a strange but intriguing environment, where learning and observation replaced chains. Each day brought new lessons, not from books or instructors, but from the princess herself. Kalira had begun to ask questions, endless questions about humans, about their behavior, their emotions, and their ways of thinking. She wanted to understand what made humans so resilient, so unpredictable, and, as she often said, alive in a way my people have forgotten. You humans seem to thrive on uncertainty, Kalira remarked one morning as they walked through the palace gardens. Her voice was calm, curious, and precise. Even when danger surrounds you, you do not freeze. You adapt. You survive. Why? Ethan paused, considering the question carefully. I guess, we learn to keep moving, he said finally. We can't control everything, so we do what we can. We adapt. That's how we survive. Kalira nodded thoughtfully, her violet eyes distant for a moment. Adaptation is not enough for my people. We calculate, predict, and plan. We rarely take risks, and yet humans, like you, risk everything, often without knowing the outcome. It is fascinating. Ethan felt a surge of pride mixed with unease. He had never thought of humans as extraordinary. To him, they were ordinary people, making the best of their circumstances. And yet, to Kalira, he represented something rare and powerful, a spark of life her civilization had forgotten. Over the following days, Kalira arranged exercises designed to test Ethan's instincts and judgment. Unlike the Valari, who relied on telepathy and rigid logic, humans relied on intuition and improvisation. Each exercise highlighted these differences. Ethan's solutions were often unconventional but effective, and each time he succeeded, Kalira observed keenly, taking mental notes with the precision of a scholar. You surprise me, Kalira said during one session. Your methods are illogical, but they work. You do not follow the rules my people hold sacred. You invent, improvise, and succeed. It is enlightening. Ethan chuckled. I guess that's what humans do. We make mistakes, learn from them, and keep going. Sometimes the rules just don't matter. Kalira's eyes sparkled with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. Sometimes the rules blind my people. The Valari Council had grown impatient. Whispers of rebellion and scandal had reached the highest chambers of the empire. The princess's defiance could no longer be ignored. The council demanded a resolution, a public judgment that would settle the matter once and for all. And so, the trial of contact was declared. Ethan Cole stood in the central arena of the Valari capital, his heart pounding. The arena was vast, with smooth floors and walls that glimmered like polished crystal. Thousands of spectators had gathered, Valari nobles, scholars, and citizens curious about this unprecedented trial. Even from a distance, Ethan could feel the weight of every gaze. He was not just a human. He had become the center of the empire's attention. Kalira appeared beside him, her silver hair catching the lights above. She moved with the calm confidence, that had both shocked and inspired the court for weeks. Ethan noticed the quiet determination in her violet eyes. She had not come to the arena to plead. She had come to prove that what they shared, their bond, their connection, was more than tradition could suppress. The trial of contact, the lead counselor announced, is not merely a test of strength or intellect. It is a demonstration of unity, endurance, and loyalty. Should the princess fail, the human shall be removed, and the consequences will be severe. Should she succeed, her decision to protect him will be deemed justified. Ethan swallowed. The rules were clear. He was not just participating, he was representing humanity. Every instinct told him he was vulnerable, yet the princess's calm presence beside him gave him courage. The first stage of the trial began with tests of strength. Volari warriors were known for their extraordinary physical abilities, far surpassing humans. Ethan watched as some of the strongest Volari competed with grace and precision. When it was his turn, he hesitated. He was no warrior, but Kalira's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. "Use your mind," she whispered. "Your strength is not your body. It is your humanity." Ethan nodded. He stepped forward, relying not on brute force, but on strategy and observation. Using his quick thinking, he maneuvered through the challenges, dodging, leveraging his environment, and finding solutions the Volari had not considered. He did not move like them, but he moved effectively. The crowd murmured in surprise. A human, small, seemingly fragile, was holding his own against the Empire's finest. Kalira's smile never wavered. Next came tests of endurance. The Volari created intricate mazes filled with obstacles designed to push participants to their limits. Ethan's muscles ached and his lungs burned, but he pressed on. He remembered Kalira's words. Humans survive by adapting, by refusing to give up, by turning fear into action. Step by step, he navigated the maze, sometimes taking risks that Volari considered foolish, but they worked. Each success deepened the princess's confidence, and it strengthened the invisible bond growing between them. Finally, the trial reached the tests of unity. Pairs of participants were tasked to navigate challenges together, relying on communication and trust. Kalira and Ethan were paired automatically. The obstacle was designed to separate them: high platforms, moving barriers, and complex puzzles. But Kalira did not hesitate. She trusted Ethan. She moved with him, timed her steps to his, and allowed him to lead at critical moments. The crowd watched, astonished. The Princess of Volari, known for her precision and control, was following a human's lead. And together, they succeeded where others had failed. At the final stage, the council set a test unlike any other, a challenge of empathy and perception. Participants were placed in an environment designed to evoke strong emotions and test their ability to connect with one another. Volari, with their telepathic abilities, were expected to respond to subtle mental cues, but Kalira's reactions were different. The human presence beside her, Ethan's careful guidance, his genuine concern, elicited responses no telepathic bond could produce. She felt emotion, real emotion, flowing through her. And she responded. Ethan felt it too. Deep resonance with the princess. He realized the trial was not only about proving his worth, but about demonstrating the potential of human-alien connection. Every touch, every shared glance, every word of encouragement amplified their bond. It was not physical strength or telepathy alone that mattered. It was trust, understanding, and courage. The council watched in stunned silence. The evidence was undeniable. Kalira and Ethan had succeeded where others thought impossible. Together they had navigated every obstacle, endured every hardship, and shown unity that surpassed centuries of Volari tradition. Kalira turned to Ethan, her violet eyes softening. "Do you see?" she whispered. "This is what I meant when I asked for your help. Humans, you bring more than power. You bring life." Ethan nodded slowly, awed. I didn't know we could do this, he admitted. I just tried. Trying is human, Kalyra said, smiling. And sometimes that is more than enough. The counselors conferred quietly, their whispers audible to the gathered spectators. It was clear that nothing in Valari history had prepared them for this. A human had not only survived their trials but had enhanced the princess's abilities, inspired courage, and proven that the bond they shared could not be dismissed. Finally, the lead counselor spoke, voice heavy with reluctant respect. By the standards of the trial of contact, the princess has succeeded. The human has proven capable. Their connection is valid. The Empire shall recognize the results. The crowd erupted into mixed reactions. Some cheered, some whispered anxiously, but no one could deny the outcome. Kalyra's decision to protect Ethan was officially validated. Ethan felt a strange mixture of relief and exhilaration. He had not only survived the trial, but he had proven the value of his humanity. More importantly, he had witnessed the princess's courage and vision firsthand. Together, they had challenged tradition and succeeded. Later, in the quiet of the palace garden, Kalyra approached Ethan again. You have done more than survive, she said softly. You have changed the perception of humans in my court. You have shown me, that courage and heart matter more than rigid rules. Ethan smiled, though he felt exhausted. I didn't know I could do any of it, he admitted. You did, Kalyra said simply. And you will continue to do so. There are more challenges ahead, Ethan. But now we know something important. Together, we are stronger than the rules of tradition, stronger than fear, and that will be the key to changing this empire. Ethan looked at her, understanding. The trial of contact was only the beginning. The bond they had formed, unexpected, improbable, human, was now a force no Valari could ignore. And somewhere deep inside him, he felt a growing sense of purpose. Humanity had entered the empire not as conquerors, but as a spark of life, courage, and possibility. The trial was over, but their journey was far from complete. The empire had been challenged, tradition shaken, and the future rewritten, all because a human had dared to follow the princess's demand and prove that strength came in many forms. And for the first time, Ethan felt that his life had a meaning far beyond survival. He had become a symbol of change, a reminder that even the smallest and most unlikely human could ignite a revolution of spirit, hope, and courage in the hearts of an entire civilization. The Valari Empire was silent in the aftermath of the trial of contact. The council had officially recognized the bond between Princess Kalyra and Ethan Cole, but the whispers and murmurs of disbelief continued to ripple through the palace. The nobles who had opposed the princess were uneasy, their rigid, traditions shaken by what they had witnessed. Even among the citizens there was curiosity, amazement, and cautious hope. Ethan walked beside Kalyra through the palace halls, noticing for the first time how many eyes were on them. He had been a prisoner, then a participant, and now something more, a symbol. He still did not fully understand the weight of that, but he could feel it. He could feel the difference he had made, not through weapons or technology, but simply by being human, by being brave, adaptable, and genuine. Kalyra's hand brushed lightly against his as they walked, a silent reassurance. They are learning, she said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the soft light of the palace corridors. Some faster than others, but change is inevitable. You have given them something they have not felt in centuries. They are beginning to see that humanity is powerful in ways they never understood. Ethan smiled faintly. I didn't do anything extraordinary, he said humbly. I just tried. Trying is more than enough, Kalyra replied. You showed them courage, creativity, and heart. That is something my people cannot replicate. Humans do not rely solely on rules. They rely on instinct, emotion, and determination. That is what makes you strong. Over the next days, Kalira began to implement subtle changes in the empire. She spoke openly in court about the lessons learned from humans, about adaptability, empathy, and courage. She encouraged nobles to listen to the citizens, to observe, and to consider alternatives to rigid tradition. Slowly, hesitation gave way to curiosity. Slowly, the empire began to imagine a future where strength was not defined by rules alone, but by action and connection. Ethan watched, fascinated, as Kalira navigated these challenges. She was not reckless. She was strategic, thoughtful, and compassionate. And through it all, she trusted him. She valued his perspective, his insights,